Prison camp Guantanamo, one of the most controversial places in the world and one of the most secretive. Here the American military allegedly jails mainly high-ranking terrorists. We want to find out what the detention conditions in the camp are really like. And former prisoner Murat Kurnaz tells us about his experiences in Guantanamo. After 8 months and filling in countless documents, we finally made it. We got permission to film in Guantanamo. The filming terms are extremely restricted. Our journey starts at Miami Airport. We're surprised we're not flying from a military airport, but from an airfield for private jets. We're met by officers and a final check of our personal details. We'll spend exactly 24 hours in Guantanamo. The flight takes 2.5 hours. The destination is the island of Cuba, Guantanamo Bay. Here, there's a large US naval base. The ferry takes us to the other side of the bay. There lies the prison camp, isolated. In 1903, the Americans leased land from the Cuban government for a military base. In 2002, the notorious internment camp was put into operation there. The trigger, the terrorist attacks on September the 11th. Since the beginning of 2002, the prison has mainly included alleged members of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Here, only terrorist suspects are held. The camp is controversial. The reason? The US doesn't comply with the Geneva Convention. This means that the prisoners have no legal rights. Finally, we reach the camp. From now on, each of our steps will be monitored and our footage as well.
Everybody else that you talk to today in the camps can be, but no shots of guards.
Specially trained media officers lead us through the camp. A short overview. The US naval base in Cuba is called Guantanamo Naval Base. The area is over 116 square kilometers in size. In the southeast is the prison camp. This consists of 10 different camps with different levels of security and detention conditions. Some of these camps are no longer in operation. Camps 5 and 6 are currently the main prisons. In Camp Echo, prisoners spend the last few days before leaving Guantanamo. There is also a hospital and a library. That's what the officers want to show us first. We can't show the face of the soldier who runs the library. The prisoners can borrow over 35,000 different books, DVDs and magazines in a variety of languages, all charitable donations.
We take them to them on a weekly basis, and we'll take a couple hundred items, we'll box up, take over to them, and they're allowed to tell us, hey, I'd like to get this item this week, or we're looking for things that promote good order and discipline in the camps, have positive themes and values.
Positive. This is how the soldiers want to present the camp to us. Time and again, they emphasize how well the prisoners are doing here. We hope that we can get an impression of that ourselves. A bus drives us over the area. We're not allowed to move freely. The camp looks huge. At its peak, more than 700 prisoners sat in these cells.
It's hard to imagine that so many people are locked up here. You can see fence wires everywhere, the barbed wire fence. It's a very claustrophobic, very frightening and fearful feeling.
This feeling is one that Murat Kurnaz knows well. He was in Guantanamo from 2002 to 2006. The charge? He's a terrorist, wrongly accused. After his release, he returned to his native city of Bremen. There, we have an appointment with him. What did he experience in Guantanamo? We show him our pictures. What are his memories like?
Es bedeutet Folter.
It means torture and injustice. All these things come back to your mind. And the worst thing is that there are still people there enduring that. Still,
noch Menschen dort, die das noch durchmachen, immer noch.
what exactly does Murat Kurnaz mean by enduring? What did he experience during his imprisonment?
Ich persönlich zum Beispiel wurde dafür bestraft, weil ich Vögel.
For example, I myself was punished for feeding birds by sitting in the dark hole for 60 days and doing push-ups for 30 days in the dark hole.
Liegestützen trainieren, haben sie mich 30 Tage im dunklen Loch reingeschmissen gehabt.
We want to get an idea of the detention conditions ourselves. At the time of our filming, 79 people are being detained. Most are held in Camp 6. The soldiers take us there next. The terms for filming are further tightened.
Can we film during the drive?
No. We'll tell you when you can start.
Here, for the first time, we meet Colonel Stephen Gabovics. He's commander of the prison camp.
I think it's extremely important that the world gets to see what we do here and how our great soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, and Coast Guard do their mission on a daily basis to provide the safe, secure, humane, and legal treatment to our detainees. The majority of our detainees are here in Camp 6. Roughly 60% are here in Camp 6. Another approximately 20% are in Camp 5.
That leaves 20% unaccounted for. They don't want to show us their accommodation. We're allowed to look around Camp 6 after all. In an empty single cell, the soldiers present us the items that are available to the prisoners. These include clothing, blankets, headphones, cosmetics, the Quran, and injury-proof writing utensils. The cells are empty. There are no detained prisoners in this part of the camp. Then the officers take us to another part of the prison. Everything is shaded. We can only whisper. Behind mirrored windows, we see prisoners for the first time. Contacting them, or even talking to them, is strictly forbidden. It's prayer time just now. The prisoners don't know we're watching them.
This is a very unpleasant situation. It feels a bit like being in the zoo.
The men are detained without a trial. Nobody wants to tell us what they're accused of. The only statement is, for war-related reasons. Time and again, former prisoners report arbitrary arrests. Americans allegedly pay a bounty in Pakistan and Afghanistan for soldiers or police officers to extradite suspected terrorists to the United States. Murat Kurnaz was accused of fighting for the Taliban. Because of this suspicion, he was imprisoned for nearly 5 years, as it turned out, wrongly. In the beginning, I really thought of it, believed that as soon as the Americans realized that I was the wrong one, they'd let me go, and kept on believing so. 1 year later, still. He never gave up hope of someday becoming a free man again. In Guantanamo, officers take us to the neighboring Camp 5. Again, they present an empty single cell. And the entertainment room. According to the statement, the prisoners are allowed to watch TV 4 hours a week, with ankle cuffs. Time and again, the guards and officers emphasize how well the prisoners are doing. Conditions would seem to be better here than in American prisons. Murat has experienced the conditions firsthand. He can only smile about the equipment in the cells that we show him. I saw these pictures too after my release and wondered, wow, we had so much there and I didn't know anything about it. I was there for 5 years and I didn't see any of it. He was frequently relocated during his captivity. He was in different camps. For instance, there's a camp where you're in solitary confinement in the dark. There are no windows or anything. It's completely closed off. And then there's a camp where everything can be seen, and the guards can see, because the cages are covered with plexiglass. So the air is really bad, and Cuba, Guantanamo, is a very warm place, extremely warm.
Sehr warmes Ort, ist extrem warm.
We're not allowed to visit these camps. The officers insist that Guantanamo is not a prison.
The biggest difference is that a prison, as we have like in the United States or elsewhere, those are for people that have been convicted in a court of law. Well, detainees were not arrested. Detainees were detained in relation to some law of war aspect.
The soldiers stand by this principle. Even Colonel Gabovics. He's been working in the prison camp for only a few months.
Oh, I love it. It's a great job. The opportunity to be with all these soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guard, and everything. It's fantastic. Just every day to be able to come out here and see what these great Americans do makes me feel good.
The day comes to an end, but sleep is out of the question. We're still in the media control post until after midnight. Picture by picture, the officers review our footage. Some of it is deleted. More than 700 prisoners have been released from Guantanamo by the Americans in recent years. Does that mean they were all held in spite of being innocent? We asked the top media officer.
And once they're transferred from Guantanamo, and the custody removes from us to some other entity, we've done our job. And so it's not up to us to talk about guilt or innocent. It's our job to detain the detainees and care for them safely and humanely while they're here.
Guantanamo comes back to the headlines over torture allegations. Allegedly, soldiers use illegal interrogation methods such as waterboarding. We want to know, is that true? At the final press conference, the highlight of our trip, we have the opportunity to address the highest commander on the allegations of torture.
There is no torture, and when we do voluntary interviews, that is exactly what they are. They're voluntary. I can't speak for what may have happened in other places or many years ago here, but for a long time now, there has been nothing that could be considered by anybody as torture. We do voluntary interviews.
Is everything really voluntary? It doesn't sound like it with Murat Kurnaz. In the 5 years he was in American custody, the officers did plenty to get a confession out of him. There was food deprivation, a plexiglass insulated cell where you couldn't breathe, then 30 days in a cell where it's freezing cold, and then there were times when they locked you in a cell for 30 days, torturing you with heat. In 2009, President Barack Obama promised to close Guantanamo. But the prison camp still exists. For how much longer?
All I can tell you is that right now we are following the directives that we were given. And the intent right now from the President is to close Guantanamo Bay. We'll continue to do what we need to do to facilitate that.
No one can tell us when that will actually be. It's difficult for former prisoners to start a new life after release. Murat Kurnaz has done it. Our journey comes to an end. What remains is nightmarish images of one of the most secret places in the world.